All right, everybody, welcome back to section 10 of our course on cybercrime. And today we're going to be talking about child porn. And child porn is by far the most difficult subject in this course to discuss. And so you'll notice that, in most of my lecture slides here, I have fun, usually humorous images on each slide. And I chose not to do that in this section because this is a really, really rough subject. If you need to pause these videos and take a break, if this is, triggers negative emotions in you, please, I'm encouraging you to take a break on this subject. But it is an important subject and something more people should be learning about in order to protect the children around us and in our community. So, child porn here in the United States was legal up until 1977. It wasn't until, relatively recently that it even became a crime to depict somebody under the age of 18 in our pornographic material. So, there's an organization in Europe called Combating Pedophilia Information Networks in Europe. That's COPINE. We're going to be talking more about them in the next few slides. They're an organization working to prevent and prosecute child pornography. Now, one of the kind of issues when it involves child porn is exactly at what point does child porn become illegal? Why is it illegal, etc., etc.? And one of the things we have to talk about in the 21st century is fake child porn, right? So, and this is essentially where there are depictions of a child in a sexual situation, but where it's not an actual picture of a child. So, prior to the last few years, this was usually something like somebody who is over the age of 18 dressing up in such a way or implying they're under the age of 18 through either visual or auditory means, animation, or even a manipulated photo of where there's a body, the naked body of somebody over the 18, but the face and head of somebody under the age of 18. And just in the past few years, thanks to the rise of generative AI, there's now AI created images of children that look incredibly real, but aren't in sexual situations. In the United States, as of now, as of time of recording, that is still legal. It is not illegal to have one of those AI-generated images or photoshopped images or animated images of a child in a sexual situation. It is only real images with actual victims that are illegal in the United States. In other countries like the UK, those fake child porn images are illegal and explicitly prohibited by law. Now, why is child porn illegal? Well, really there's two reasons. Number one, children can't consent. One of the most important concepts in any sexual situation is consent. If there is not explicit, enthusiastic consent by all parties involved, that's not sex, that's sexual assault. And that goes for adults, children, anything, right? So one of the main reasonings behind why it's illegal, both for child pornography and actual child sex, is that children under the age of 18 are not able to consent. They don't understand enough about sex and sexuality and physicality to be able to make an informed and enthusiastic choice to participate in those acts. And thus, because children can't consent, it is by definition illegal to either have sex with them or depict sex with them in video or audio video or photographic form. The other issue is that sex with children is very, very, very commonly connected with physical and emotional abuse, right? It's not a happy, loving situation when children are put into sexual situations. It is abusive. It is manipulative. It is somebody with power using that power to make them do something they really don't want to do, but feel like they need to do because the person in power is kind of forcing them to do it. One of the big cultural touchstones, one of the big cultural kind of educational opportunities, one of the big ways in which our wider culture has been introduced to the problem of child pornography and child sexual abuse was the television show To Catch a Predator, which ran for many years and became famous for setting up sting operations where adults would pretend to be underage online and allow adults to approach those seemingly underage accounts run by the volunteers and initiate some kind of sexual situation. The laws following entrapment were followed. So they allowed the adult to initiate the conversations about sex and, the different physical acts that they wanted to do. And then they, for the TV show, agreed to meet up with those adults. So the adult arrived at the location intending to meet someone under the age of 18 for sexual acts, only to be confronted by the host of the television show saying, "Hey, why are you here? You were intending to have sex with this child," and then kind of giving them a short interview for purposes of this television show. And then usually as soon as that interview was done, the police would arrive and arrest the person for intending to have sex with that underage person. And that show, I don't believe I'm 99% sure it's not on the air anymore, but it did bring a much wider audience to the issue of child abuse and child sex and online grooming of children. The COPINE organization that I don't know if it's COPINE, COPINE, I don't know how to pronounce it. This is one of those words I've only ever read, never actually heard anybody who knows about this having pronounced it before. So if I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. But they came up with a scale from 1 to 10 to classify different kinds of child porn, essentially. Pictures or videos of children that are ranging from kind of the least serious to the most serious, right? And again, this is a 1 to 10 scale. A 1, the least serious, is not overtly erotic, not overtly sexual pictures of children, but still pictures that a person who would be interested in children in a sexual way might have. In level 2, the children are nude, but they're nude in a situation that would be kind of normal or expected and culturally, I guess, appropriate. So, for instance, a picture of a very young child in the bathtub, like, this is baby's first bath. And the baby is nude, but you would expect a baby to be nude in a bath setting. And, this picture is not taken for sexual purposes. They're taken because their parents are excited about the baby having their first bath. And so it's that kind of thing where it's technically nudity, but it's definitely not in a sexual situation. And then 3 is kind of, again, up that scale just a little bit, but these are photographs taken of children in a non-sexual environment, but that shows their partial nudity or underwear, or, you know, a young person in a revealing bathing suit kind of thing. And importantly, these first 3 levels aren't illegal, at least in the United States, right? I can't speak for other jurisdictions, but here in the United States and in most jurisdictions, these first 3 levels aren't illegal. It's not in and of itself against the law to have any of these images at these lowest 3 levels. Now, here's where it becomes illegal. And 4 through 10 are kind of, again, increasing levels of severity and I would argue disturbingness, right? And it starts with posing, right? So it's pictures of children where they're deliberately put into some kind of sexual situation, some kind of sexual encounter, either by themselves or with other people, but there's definitely an aspect of sex to that image or video or whatever. And then it kind of gets more serious and more serious, and but finally 10, the most serious, the most kind of disturbing, the most morally agreed upon to be wrong, is the sadistic level, right? And this is not only sex, but pain, right? The word sadistic comes from the Marquis de Sade, who was famous in the, I think, 18th century for combining pain and torture with sex. So doing that with a child, or where some kind of animal or non-human living thing is involved, that's 10. That's the worst, right? So again, this scale goes from 1 to 10. It starts off with the legal, but not entirely okay if they're found in the possession of somebody, usually with child porn from these higher levels together. But and then it goes up from there. It gets more serious from there. So often the level of crime and especially the desire of a prosecutor to prosecute, and the sentence when somebody is found guilty is relatively highly dependent on where on this scale, either using this scale specifically or just kind of in general, where on the level of seriousness those images or videos or whatever falls. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a break. I'll see you in the next subsection.